Good evening and welcome to the Championship Review here on Match Day 10. I'm your host, Carl, as usual. We've got loads to talk about some key games, including the local derby between Luton and Watford. Also, another huge game at the top between Leeds and against Sheffield United. On Friday's game, we will talk about, along with today's game between Hull City and Sunderland as well. And also the game at Hillsborough between Sheffield Wednesday and Burnley as well. There's no Michael. Michael's at Hull today to watch Sunderland, but I do have the usual suspect around me, the Bristol City fan. Annie, good evening.
Evening, everyone. Evening, Carl. How are we doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. Do you know what? I wasn't unwell the last couple of days after getting my annual winter vaccinations, but a lot more chirpy the last 2 days. I think not just we'll talk at least shortly, but I was also happy seeing Hearts getting the first win of the season against St Mirren yesterday with a 4-0 under the new manager Neil Critchley. So I think at least slow things are going back on track, especially my eye rivals down in Leaf lost emphatically for 3-2 to Dundee United yesterday. So I'm feeling a lot more happier the last few weeks. So yeah, yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. As good as it can be at the moment, being a City fan. Yeah, nice win yesterday, but still, kind of that overarching feeling of, kind of, yeah, bit of sad. Still, very incredibly sad about. I'm sure we'll talk about it. The news we got last week. So yeah, uh, good as can be at the moment. So yeah.
Absolutely. If you can hear the background, you can hear the strong winds while in the back of my study room. It is strong as hell, Storm Ashley. I'm not gonna lie. It's good for I'm not being out. I'm not being out today, so I don't think I want to incur with that. And also, when I spoke to her sister yesterday, she said I'm not going for mum's dinner around. It's gonna be too windy, and she lives down the road from my mum. So before she decided, I'll just ask her sister to just bring the dinner down. Yeah, which she's got a car, so better than nothing. Better than nothing. Right. If you guys want to follow us, please hit and like and hit the notification bell for any upcoming content as well. I appreciate that. Right, let's start off with one of the games on Saturday's games. Annie, Burnley winning 2-0 yesterday against Sheffield Wednesday. Goals from JD Antley and Josh Brownhill. They went back to the top briefly. A good performance for Burnley after coming back from the international break, and it was a much needed win as well.
Yeah, much needed for sure. I'm not sure it was completely convincing at times. I think Sheffield Wednesday did have opportunities. Trafford did have to make a couple of really good saves from what I saw from the highlights and what I've been reading from Wednesday and from Burnley fans. But this is what Scott Parker does with good squads in the Championship. Really, we can't really expect too much different in terms of style of play and kind of how Burnley are going to win games this season. This is a tough away game at Hillsborough. But in June, not a hell of a lot of teams are going to go there and pick up 3 points. Only the top teams will. Burnley are a top team at this moment in time. The first goal is a mistake, I think, from Jan Valery, isn't it? Where he kind of doesn't clear it properly. Either Valery or Famwell, I wasn't completely sure. Making out the highlights, it's a mistake from him. Doesn't clear it properly. Anthony, he's quick, he's aware, he's a good player, finishes it off nicely. And then the second one is just, you could see the Premier League quality or top Championship quality in that second move, the kind of dummy, and then Zian Fleming doesn't quite finish it, but then there's bodies in and around the box, and Brownhill's there to tap it home. And someone I want to mention is Josh Laurent, because he's been an absolutely magnificent signing for Burnley. I think they picked him up for 500 grand, $500,000, which is really incredible business in hindsight, considering he was Stokes captain last season, and he's got into midfield seamlessly with Josh Brownhill in that double pivot mainly, and it's been a mainstay really. And in a summer where there's been a hell of a lot of transition for Burnley in midfield, out wide, kind of, a lot of the areas there, and I think that was Sander Berger, didn't they? To have him there and with Brownhill the captain, massively important for Scott Parker to lay the foundations going forward as well. He was also crucial and has been impressive so far for Burnley. They haven't been convincing. but they're second, aren't they, at the moment? And they're over 2 points a game. And that's going to get you promoted in the Championship, like 9 seasons out of 10. So yeah, again, not convincing from Parker. Not normally is, however, gets the job done at this level. And ultimately, Burnley have a really good squad, and they should be, right up there come the end of the season.
Absolutely. Was it missed chance from a transfer for Sheffield Wednesday yesterday to try to get something in this game, and especially with Valerie making that mistake, and they had one or two good chances Wednesday, but they couldn't. They had a chance late in the second half to try to pull one back, but it went over the bar from Smith. So is that a huge worry for Danny Rowe, especially to try? He was expecting something, just a point or probably a shocker win.
I wouldn't say it's a massive concern for Danny Rowe. I think it's disappointing they haven't got anything, especially at Hillsborough, where they're going to be going to have a much higher chance of winning football games at Hillsborough compared to away from home, Sheffield Wednesday this season. But look, Burnley's quality is there to see. If you don't take your chances against really good opposition in this league, the fine margins are there to see, and you will get punished for them. All the silly mistakes you do make, even the little ones, you will get punished for them. And Jan Valery found that out yesterday, and just that inability to. Sometimes you can see qualities in little moments. Burnley, as I said yesterday, as I just mentioned, they after Zian Fleming missed that one-on-one for the second goal, they flooded the box with numbers. I don't think you see a team like Sheffield Wednesday, no disrespect to Sheffield Wednesday, do that. And so in quite that case, they don't pick up that second ball. Teams down near the bottom don't score those kind of clinical moments. Teams like Burnley do. Teams near the top of the Championship do. And yeah, I wouldn't say to worry for Danny Rowe, because ultimately Sheffield Wednesday season's not going to be based on 2 games across a 46 against Burnley or a Leeds or a maybe even a Sunderland at this point in time. It's about some of the maybe straightforward home games against some maybe teams in mid-table. So I wouldn't say it's a concern. I'd say it's promising. Really, they've created a number of chances against a really good Burnley side. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's a concern per se. But yeah, disappointment they haven't got anything, because they probably should have, really, because they had chances to, and they tested James Trafford enough with a little bit more quality, and maybe Ike Ugbo on his day. Sheffield Wednesday do get something out of that game.
Yeah, absolutely. No, good. Like I said, was it a convincing win for Burnley? But they got the 3 points at Hillsborough yesterday. Let's go to Loftus Road and actually, finally a first win for Portsmouth. To get a 2-1 win against QPR. Dembele scored a knife minute, but Potts and Lang scored the 2 goals for Portsmouth. Lang scored through the penalty. It's been coming. It's been coming for Pompey, and they finally get that win. And how huge is that for John Mousinho and the Pompey squad?
Oh, it's massive, isn't it? It's absolutely humongous for them. I mean, as you said, I agree with you completely. It's been coming. They've come close in games. Leeds away on opening day, um, Middlesbrough away, late kind of draw there. A couple of good draws actually. Pompey this season. They should have possibly won that game against Luton when they went down to 10 men.
Yeah,
Um, they should have, again, a decent draw against Sheffield United, and then a home draw against Oxford as well. So they've had a couple of good draws, and yeah, I think many Pompey fans were going into this seeing this is the best opportunity so far, because QPR low on confidence, um, not playing well. Go there, if they took an early lead, this would have been much more straightforward. But it's an error from is it Nico Schmidt, I think, in goal
yeah,
for Pompey to give Dembele that opportunity to chip him and score. And then at that point, it would have been very easy for Pompey to just kind of lie down and just accept it, because you know what it's like. When you're a team near down the bottom, and you're struggling and you've not got a win yet, and you go 1-0 down away from home, it can become incredibly tough. But Mousinho mentioned this in his post-match conference. This Pompey team doesn't give up. Like in League One last season, they weren't convincing for a lot of it. They just
mm,
never gave up. They got a lot of last-minute goals, a lot of last-minute equalisers, and a lot of last-minute winners when they weren't playing well. And that's a real quality to have, especially when you're down near the bottom of the league. And if you can bring that up from League One, that's absolutely massive. Um, I think Callum Lang coming back into the team as well was crucial for Mousinho, because he's a really good player. He's really showed a lot of quality, and I think he's like top 5 or top 6 in terms of the Golden Boot race very early in the season so far. So
Yeah.
he can score some goals. He's a pretty quality player, and Freddie Potts is looking like a real quality player in midfield as well on loan from West Ham. He was really good at Wickham last season.
He was, I do remember, yeah, for really good quality player actually for them last season.
Yeah, him alongside Marlon Pack in midfield for Pompey looks a really good combination. So yeah, I'm actually very excited by what Pompey could do this kind of next run of fixtures, because they have got a far easier run of fixtures than they did have towards the start of the season. But yeah, it's just about, can they capitalize on that now, because up until about late Feb, they've got a nice run of fixtures. So it's about can they capitalize on that, and can they keep going?
Yeah, absolutely. As for QPR, Martin Confertes, he must be worried about this now after 10 games, and they're now bottom of the table. And we thought QPR could be one of those teams, maybe not will be worried about the relegation so far, but it's a bit of alarm bells ringing for QPR.
Yeah, it's concerning. It's concerning massively, because there's a lot of promise going into the season. There's a lot of, they could be a team that finishes in the top half, top 10 maybe. Definitely improvement on last season. But the start has been horrific again, similar to last season. They're going to have to play catch up with the kind of mid-tables spots. Again, they're not as cut adrift as they were under Gareth Ainsworth. They're only 1 point off Coventry, and they're 3 points off Millwall in 20th. So they're not completely cut adrift, but the quality the squad has, with some of the attacking flair it does have, and Dembele and Chair and Madsen and Lucas Anderson, and some good players in there for Marty Cifuentes to operate with. It's not ultimately, this is nowhere near good enough, and you can't, when you lose at home to a side that hasn't won a game all season so far, no matter how unlucky Pompey have been or whatever, it's incredibly concerning. So I don't think you'd find many QPR fans calling for Cifuentes' head. I think the recruitment hasn't lived up to the billing so far. There's a lot of players in there. I think QPR were the only club in the Championship that didn't sign a player from the English leagues. So there's a lot of kind of new stuff, kind of new players from different leagues. It's hard enough signing new players in general, because they take time to adapt, even if they're from England. If they're not from England, it takes a little bit longer as well. So the turnover was there. There's still some players in there who possibly aren't good enough in the squad. So this may take a bit of ironing out, but I'm not concerned for QPR. They won't be down there, I don't think, come the end of the season. So maybe just a bit of a blip in the journey for Cifuentes. But yeah, a concerning start nonetheless.
Absolutely, really concerning start for QPR. What's the other games we go to? Let's go to Bet 365 stage. A one more draw between Stoke and Norwich City yesterday. It's Stoke's unbeaten run is now going to 3 games. And denied Norwich a place in the top 6. Was this an even Steven game for both sides?
Yeah, I'd say so, probably. I think Norwich, yeah. Look, Norwich would have been going into as favourites. They dominated possession. Um, Stoke had chances themselves. Probably says fair point for both. I think for Stoke, it's just about, can they start upwardly kind of moving up the table with a little bit of mobility, and get just time for Nasis Pelac to kind of get his feet under the table and get his ideas across, because there are signs there. They obviously beat Pompey 6-1. This is a good draw at home against the side who are red hot at the moment. Norwich, they'll be slightly disappointed. Marcelino Nunez going out with an injury is a bit of a concern as well, considering he's a really important player for them.
That's
Um,
huge, and that's going to be a huge blow for the Canaries for the next few weeks, especially if we know the assessment of his injury. What that's going to be a huge worry of their style of play under him.
yeah, because he's kind of massive. Him and McLean in there, complement each other really well because Nunes is kind of a more creative outlet, but McLean's more of a driver and a runner, and that's important for Johannes Thorup. But yeah, not a bad point for either of these sides. Norwich stay in seventh because Watford and Middlesbrough didn't win their games. In fact, they both lost. Blackburn in sixth, but yeah, they're still in touching distance of the top six, so not the worst point for either of the sides. I wouldn't have imagined.
No, absolutely not. Go over to Deepdale. The one person we really wanted to be on was Ant, who made a promise to us yesterday. He said he was going to be on after he's blown Leicester come from 3-2 down to a 3-2 at Southampton, and and Coventry lost on the same day. He was supposed to be on joining us, but he's not. So we'll have to take on the reins of ranting at Coventry, especially he hates us so much. But Rios getting his first goal for Preston off, and it's actually it's rolling times again for Matt Robbins, and I think there's now questions now. Does he get the sack in the next couple of weeks if things don't improve?
It's incredibly difficult for, I think, a lot of Coventry fans to turn on Mark Robbins at any point, and I'd imagine so because it's Mark Robbins, club legend, probably one of the greatest managers they've ever had, but they are underperforming massively. If they finish 21st at the end of the season or anywhere near 21st, it's a massive underperformance with the squad they have, with the money they've spent. I would only raise the question of if Mark Robbins does leave, who could Coventry realistically it's a very attractive job, it's a very lucrative job, it's a really good squad of players. Who is going to mold together a promotion push in time with the kind of players they have at the moment? It's because it's very Mark Robbins type of players, isn't it? So I'd say, and I'm in no position to say anything, but I'll probably still give Mark Robbins 100% kind of support because he has turned it around before when Coventry have started poorly. But this is again a bit of a concern because they didn't really. They had a goal disallowed through Hadji Wright, but apart from that, again, mainly Preston kind of outfoxing them in a lot of ways, kind of being a little bit more streetwise, and that's not a good thing for Coventry. It's a bit of a concern. But yeah, a poor defeat, a really poor start to the season for Cov. But yeah, Preston, they look quite good, don't they?
They do under Paul Heckenbottom for the first time. At least they got a bit of structure of the style of the play how he wants to play, and I think that was what the press fans were questioning after under Ryan Lowe of the last couple of years of not producing near enough end to especially of the goals that they conceded when they were in most of the top half of the table during last season, and it looks like they got the right man for the job. And listen, I don't think there will be the playoff, but do you see them getting closer to the top half by January at least?
I see them being kind of where they normally are towards the end of this, as the season goes on, because I think Heckingbottom will get them kind of mobilising towards mid-table, because that's where that squad should be. It's a good squad. It's got a little bit of money put into it as well. So, yeah, I think they'll be absolutely kind of away from any relegation battle under Heckingbottom. So yeah, I'd be very kind of pleased that if I was a Preston fan, I'd be very kind of pleased that this kind of chaotic period is over and Heckingbottom. So it looks like a sensible appointment now, doesn't it? Getting him in and having a manager who's kind of stable and knows the Championship, knows how to get the best out of a group of players. So yeah, massively important and impressive from Preston perspective. They'll still be streaky, but they'll be streaky enough just to get themselves into mid-table, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. Go into the Kassam Stadium. Oxford get a late equaliser in the 1-1 draw against West Brom. Kyle and Grant scored in the 20th minute, but what a set piece from Oxford United to keep their unbeaten run in the Championship at home with Dane Scarlett with a header. Listen, do you think this should have been a free kick that led to Kylan's Grant's goal, because there was questions about it, before then. But like I said, the Oxford did get a late draw, but there should have been a free kick before Grant scored the first goal, the opening goal.
I have to be honest, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it back properly. It's a good effort. It's a good strike from Carlin Grant after that. To be fair, from what 25 yards out, something
Yeah,
like that. It's a really good effort to beat Jamie Cumming. I have to plead the fifth on that one. I haven't
fair
seen
enough.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it back, but I heard on the radio there was quite a lot of commotion after
As
that.
we always hear. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You what was it? Was it a free kick? Do you reckon?
I thought it was a free kick on when Dembele was trying to get the ball, and somehow it did it. The referee, because he was tangled leading up to the goal, so it was a bit surprising that was not blown for a free kick. But the referee thought it was nothing serious. Well, not serious, but not clumsy. Nothing too clumsy. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Oxford again. They they they're hard to beat. They're really hard to beat. Just in general, away from home and at the Kassam in particular, they haven't been beaten so far. There we go. But yeah, they're a decent side. It'll be hard for teams in the future to go to the Kassam and get results. West Brom, they've had a bit of a blip recently, 4 without a win, 2 losses against Middlesbrough at the Hawthorns, and they lost to Sheffield Wednesday, didn't they?
yeah,
Uh, but it's still a they're still a very good team, and to get a late equaliser for Oxford with Dane Scarlett, I think scoring his first goal for Oxford, and he got a goal in midweek for the England under 21s at Ashton Gate. So
he did.
uh, it would be, I think, him and Harris for Buckingham to have options up front and not just completely solely rely on Mark Harris will be important, because Mark Harris is obviously kind of it's very all out, full out energy. So he might need a bit of kind of handling in terms of game time and substitutions and whatnot. So to have Scarlett as an option will be massive for Des Buckingham moving forward.
Yeah, it will be a massive option if when Harris needs a rest, especially as he's now been picked for Wales quite a lot more now. So it is a good rotation to have Scarlett in that squad as well. Go to Ewood Park. Swansea losing 1-0 away at Blackburn. The claims that Dolan Scott claimed the goal for that one. I don't know. There was questions who claimed the goal, but Blackburn getting the win eventually, and they're moving to the playoff places, and it's really not been a surprise now how they started. I think we all consider them one of the challenges for the playoffs.
It's, it's very John Eustace, this isn't it? Like 1-0. How much possession they had? Considerably less possession than
32, about 33 possession, and to Swansea 68. Well, about 68, yeah.
Yeah. It's incredibly Rovers that, and from a set piece as well. Dolan. Um, I think you can expect this from Blackburn now. I think you can expect this kind of level of resilience, level of grit under John Eustace. Kind of very hard to beat again, and they're going to be tough to beat at Ewood Park as well. Have they lost to Ewood so far this season? They're unbeaten, haven't they?
They've been unbeaten at home, actually. Yeah, they've been unbeaten at home, actually, at Ewood Park this season.
Unbeaten at Ewood. That's incredibly impressive, incredibly important. A lot of teams actually unbeaten at their home ground this season. So it'll be interesting to see how this carries on for the rest of the season, because they have got quality now. Cantwell, Dolan, not Sam Gallagher anymore, but they've got quality there. Mac Targay, Andy Vyman,
Yeah,
good quality. Travis in there in midfield with Tronstad, and defensively they're kind of nicely organised. So, and that Ainsley Pears, on his day, can be a really top championship keeper. A bit inconsistent, but generally he's a pretty decent keeper. So yeah, they've got the makings of a nice squad, Blackburn, and a very good manager, a very good championship manager in John Eustace as well. So intrigued to see how they get on. But for Swansea, scoring goals is a massive problem, and some of the summer signings look a bit, well, yeah, not don't look like they're up to it at the moment.
No, they really are struggling with some of the new sides, and I think Luke Williams has got a lot of work to do now because, as I said, is he going to be under the hot seat with all some of the other managers that we've mentioned early on? Is his job in the situation, or do you
I
think?
wouldn't I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say Swansea fans are like anywhere close to that at the moment because they have actually started the season quite all right.
Yeah,
It's just they've been involved in a lot of tight games and scoring goals again. As I said, is a massive problem for them at the moment. They haven't Liam Cullen and Ronald not really producing from last season, and then you've got the new players in there, like some they signed from the French second league, whose name is escaping at the moment. Starts to be, but yeah, they aren't really producing the minute. The attacking players, the defensively sound. Figuru looks really good, and they only conceded one here, but they're creating. They have a lot of the ball, a lot of the possession, but aren't quite finding that cutting edge, which I'm sure we'll talk about with another team uh, in the mid-table regions in a bit as well.
yeah, we will. Let's go to the probably fair draw between Millwall and Derby. It was a 1-1 draw. Early on, we see here that Jerry Yates scored his first Derby goal, but an equaliser for Milner Ivanovic, who's probably he's the club record per the ball, scoring the goal in the 85th minute. Again, not much there. It's a no fair draw for both sides.
Yeah, first away point for Derby this season, which is important for them. I'm sure they'd want to get that monkey off their back. They should have probably seen this game out though and won it because they took the lead quite late on through Jerry Yates, as you mentioned.
Yeah,
And then again, similar to Jan Valery against Burnley, it's a mistake from Curtis Nelson, again, not clearing the ball away. Kind of the simple, basic things that Paul Warne would want his team to do, especially his centre backs. But yeah, Ivanovic then runs in one on one, and then rounds it to Zetterstrom, and then puts into the back of the net. Uh, to be honest, Millwall had quite a lot of chances in that. Macaulay Langstaff hit the inside of the post, and that went out. A couple of really good opportunities and crossing positions and openings for Millwall. But yeah, for them, it's that again to similar to what we said for Swansea. They're creating chances. It's just the ability to find the back of the net. And I'm sure with Langstaff there and with Tom Bradshaw and with some good, relatively decent players and Essa when he's fully at it,
yeah.
they've got some good players in there who can find the back of the net on a consistent basis. It's just about giving that bit of time. And Langstaff, I'm incredibly excited about because obviously him at Notts County was really, really
He
top
was. Yeah,
scoring a hell of a lot of goals in the National League and in League Two as well. So yeah, I think with time will start scoring more goals, but they should have probably won this game, especially um, if this considering this game was at the Den. If this was at Pride Park, completely different story probably. But yeah, probably they should have probably won that game, and uh, s- considering the chances they had. But yeah, Derby, good first away point for them, and they're still in the top half of the championship at the moment. I think still.
yeah, they are. They're still in the top half, which is a tremendous, especially after for Paul Warren because this is what he's been trying to do where he previously was at Rotherham. I think he was trying to do something now, but because he's now at a bigger club with bigger resources, he does have. He could, I think for them it's to be in the mid-table, so they don't have to worry about relegation this coming season as well. So it's huge for the Rams.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that completely. I think considering the start they've had Derby, I think they just want to be away from any sort of any massive relegation battle. If we're being honest, I don't see them finishing in the top half come the end of the
No,
season. They'll probably drop down, but not considerable enough to, I'd say, be kind of like anything below 20th or something, anything like that. So
yeah.
yeah, massively, really good start for Paul Warne, first away point. And yeah, they'll be hoping to just continue the starts they've had because actually they haven't really had the easiest of starts either. They've had
No,
I think the average opposition they've played is like in the top six.
yeah,
So
because they had Blackburn the first game of the season, which they had really good chances as well, even in the last 4-2. So
yeah, they've had some good teams basically. They beat Middlesbrough, Pride Park, they've beaten QPR, they've beaten us. So they've had some good some good scouts at Pride Park. If they can keep that up, pick up the odd away win here or there, pick up the odd point that normally Paul Warne can.
Yeah.
They're in for a very solid season.
They are, and there'll be more to come during the course of the season. Let's go to another local derby at Kenilworth Road. Luton Town winning 3-0 against Watford. And we was talking about this over the game there. If you're a Watford fan and your Watford social media account team says something about because it was raining yesterday, and then you lose 3-0 by because two of the goals were coming from set pieces anyway, and yeah, but as I said, it was a fully deserved victory for Luton. And look, I think Rob Edwards is now a little bit more or less under pressure now from the slow start they've had. So that was what was needed, especially in this derby win yesterday.
Oh, I felt that is massive for Luton, that isn't it? I mean, to turn your rivals over in the manner that they did, just completely bullying them, and really looking like they were up for the fight, whilst Watford didn't really look like they were. Massively impressive from a Luton perspective, and yeah, it just felt like it was Luton again, rather than a team kind of trying to be, kind of trying to a team that's not really at the top of the championship, but a team that's underdogs, and it felt
Yeah,
like that's what Luton is. That's what Luton are best at, and that's when Luton are top, I would say, top championship team, and that's what they've had success of. So yeah, as you mentioned, two set plays, one from Jordan Clark where he gets a little back heel to it from Tom Holmes's header initially, and then the second half, early in the second half, Carlton Morris with a nice header at the back post. Again, that's what Carlton Morris does.
he does. I know.
He scores goals at this level, and he picks up really nice positions. And again, likes of Alfie Dougherty, likes of who else? Ogbene last season, but Victor Moses this season and this time around. People who can pick out a ball in the box, put crosses in, really put the teams under pressure physically and aerially. And Watford just couldn't deal with it. Ogbonna or a Pollock, Porteous just didn't deal with that well enough at points, and conceding 2 goals in a set pieces, sorry, away from home in a derby is just not really acceptable in many ways. And then Watford are trying to push for one late back and try and maybe cause a bit of chaos in the Luton end, and then they get caught with Jacob Brown, and who finishes it really nicely for 3-0. But yeah, Watford, I think they dropped down to 8th, don't they? Which is a bit of a regression considering the start they've had. But overall picture, still not terrible for the Hornets, wouldn't you say?
No, absolutely not. Then it's not terrible for them at the moment as well. But like I said, Luton getting this big win will take the pressure off Rob Edwards, to try to kickstart their season completely as well. Let's go on to the Cardiff City Stadium. What a thumping win for Cardiff to win 5-0 against Plymouth. But we have to talk about Sissoko for Plymouth, who's started decent well, but to get sent off, especially for shoving Perry on the ground before half time. The game, well, I'm not gonna lie, the game was still there for them when they were 2-0 down after a thunder strike from Alex Robertson. But yeah, especially with Rooney, it was sitting in the stands due to his red card. Off last week against Blackburn, but I think for Cardiff they needed to take the pressure off, especially sacking their manager. They still don't even decide who's going to be the new manager because we know that Omar Reese is still an interim manager. So will he get the job permanently?
I mean, if Cardiff haven't got anyone lined up at the moment, you'd imagine so, because he's got 7 points in their last 3 games, hasn't he? 2 wins at home and a point away at Ashton Gate.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty decent return considering where Cardiff were when he initially took over as interim manager. But this is a really good win for Cardiff. 5-0 is always, good at home, but yeah, against a side who, again, probably will be down there towards the as when the season comes to a close. Impressive and important for Cardiff. Um, but yeah, would you say that's a concern for Plymouth, or is that just to write that off and then
It's a good
move on to
question,
the next
actually.
one?
I wouldn't say that's a concern because Plymouth don't lose games like that in that collapse. They never have done. I don't think since they've been back in the championship since last season, they're not lost to like in calamities like that before. So I wouldn't worry about that too much on the Rooney at the moment.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you there. To be honest, yeah, uh, a couple of really good goals, especially the first and the second ones, isn't it? I
Yeah,
mean, first one is an outrageous strike from Robertson, and the second one is just Ruben Colwill with a bit of quality.
yeah,
First touch on his right, and then the second on his left, and then to bend it into to kind of strike it past Grimshaw. Really, really nice finish. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's a concern for Plymouth, but really good performance and a strong return from Cardiff in the last 3 games.
absolutely. Yeah, strong return for Cardiff in the last 3 games as well. Good question. So we've done pretty much all the games left. We've got a few left. Let's go into today's game. I didn't watch most of the game. I did see the goal between a win for Sunderland. They went 1-0, but there was a bit of controversy at home. But there was controversy, especially Robert Madley. I know he's from Huddersfield because I know and I know him and his brother from Huddersfield, it's from Huddersfield Town. I know that for a fact. But he got in the way of Marvin Melham and causing him to let Edison to score that goal. Do you think that should have been brought back to be a drop to start from a restart play from where that incident happened? Because Sunderland are lucky to get that win today.
Well, first of all, after what happens, um, it's an unbelievable run from Wilson Isidore, isn't it? And then
It is unbelievable.
the finish is absolutely fantastic from Isidore. I have to say, for a, if you're if you're a professional footballer, right? Let's say that. Look,
Yeah. We'll say that as a yeah. Don't
if,
go any lower than that. So
yeah,
yeah,
if he's a professional footballer, Marvel Melhelm. Yeah, Bobby Madley is in his way, right? Initially, Bobby Madley gets out of his way. After that, Melhelm gets the ball, and then he's kind of not really under too much pressure.
no,
And then then I think I don't know who it was, but someone from Sunderland place then starts sprinting at him and starts pressing him. It's
it,
not. It's he's got a bit of time. It's not
yeah,
like it's not like Bobby Madley's going his way and simultaneously a Sunderland player is kind of pressing Melhelm whilst he's
yeah.
got the ball.
It was actually Neil actually was pressed him to pass the ball to Wilson Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So he's got a bit of time, Melhelm, after he gets the ball to kind of maybe either try and shift the ball out wide, but he actually dawdles on it a little bit,
mm,
and then Dan Neil, as you say, gets the ball and then plays it into Isidore. What is another massive concern from a Hull City perspective is that Cody Drammer is the last player for Hull,
yeah.
and he's nearly on the edge of the Sunderland box. Like, so, do you remember
Who
the
was
playoff?
supposed to stop that play? Yeah,
Yeah. Do you remember the playoff semi-final from a couple of seasons ago where it was Brentford against Bournemouth
yeah.
and Arnaut Danjuma, and then Arnaut Danjuma scored from basically his own half because Brentford put
Yes, I do remember it quite well. Yeah,
they were 1-0 down. Brentford. They put everyone in the box from the corner, and then Danjuma gets the ball, and I'm looking at the TV and I'm going, "Oh, a couple of players will be back there," and he just keeps running and keep running, and I'm going, "There's no one back there,
there's
is
no
there?"
one there. Yeah, exactly. I was
That's
like,
what precisely. I thought precisely the same thing for the first second half after Isidore got the ball. I was like, "Oh, there's surely someone back there. Surely, a midfielder back there." Nope, kept running. No one back there, and he's 1-on-1 with Pandor, and he's brilliantly put it into the back of the net. But uh, I'd say it's a bit of I'd understand. I completely understand. Yeah, the grievance from a Hull City perspective because it's not good from Bobby Madley, is it? Like
no,
he shouldn't be anywhere near that kind of play. However, Melhelm, he's a good footballer.
he
Yes,
is.
Bobby Madley gets in his way, He's got a little bit of time after that.
Yeah, it was no pressure. There was no one really close. There was no one from the opposition that close to him.
Yeah. It's not like he's, as I said previously, it's not like simultaneously he's getting pressurized by Dan Neil to regain the ball. It's a bit of Bobby Madley getting in the way. It's also a little bit of Mel Hale messing up the situation a little bit, and a lot of Cody Drama is the last person back for Hull, and he is on the edge of the.
I know. Do you know what? There's a reason why. There's a reason why now Leeds. Why we need to let him come back to the club now, and I can see why.
To be fair, that's not Cody Drama's fault, is it?
No.
That's not Cody Drama's fault. That's on Tim Bolter and the coaching staff and the set piece coach. I presume.
Yeah,
for literally telling everyone to get forward. Like, you're going to get caught out if teams are smart enough to just go, well, okay, we'll just put a really fast player like Wilson Isidore on kind of just a little bit away from our own box, and then if we get a break, fantastic, and we're in 1-on-1 basically. So Cody Drama, he's not the quickest player. He's not slow by any means.
He's decent. He's got decent pace.
Yeah, he's not but he's not catching up with Wilson Isidore, is he?
No.
Like Wilson Isidore, as we saw in that clip, is absolutely
he was road runner. Yeah.
Yeah, like it baffles me. Something like that happening. Most of the time, things like that don't happen, right? But the one time it does, it gets questioned, and ultimately it's cost at least a point for Hull here. Again at home against a side who are flying high in the league table. Because apart from that, Hull hit the post with Bedia.
It did, and it was a fun. I'm surprised that didn't go in as well, actually, because it was a good strike.
Yeah, Sunderland came close with Chris Frigg and then a couple other occasions, but apart from that, it was a bit of a 0-0 sort of game, wasn't it? So
yeah,
it's incredibly disappointing from a Hull perspective. They've lost because of that, and because that's the reason they've lost that game. But I'd say it's an accumulation of three factors: Melham taking a little bit of time to dawdle on the ball, and it's also a little bit of Bobby Madley, but a lot of, I'd say, Cody Drama being the last person back for Hull, and that's a completely unacceptable situation to find yourself in.
It is, yeah. Well, he's unacceptable, your whole fan. But as I said, a good win for Sunday to go back to the top of the table. We'll get into your team shortly, added before, but we'll finish up with the penultimate game and Leeds winning 2-0 against Sheffield United. Leeds getting the first set piece goal since February. I'm perplexed with that one. It was a quick goal because I thought, what has he done with that? I thought, what has he done with that corner? I thought he fluffed it up, and then somehow Pascal Stroik got to the end of it in the 6.5 minute, but Matej often getting the winning goal towards the end. But Sheffield United just didn't want to look like they wanted to win. They just came up for a draw the way they played tactically. I was just a bit mystified for what Chris Wilder was coming out with his squad. I think they played like a 3-1-4-2 squad formation, and especially against us, that was not going to work.
Do you think that? Well. Do you think that, because while they actually changed formation from a back four, that's what they've been getting success from, and the reason they've stayed unbeaten. Well, that's not the reason, but that they've been unbeaten for that with that formation, so far. But I don't know. I think did he realise that Sheffield United were not going to have as much of the ball? Haven't really had too much of the ball either, Leeds, to be honest. They realised.
It was 55-45 possession toward us, so yeah.
Generally, they've not really had too much of the ball. Like against teams who like to have the ball, Sheffield United will happily concede the ball and hit them on the counter attack. Is what I get the impression of from a Chris Wilder side. But the fact that they then changed it up ahead of a massive game, mind. It's a derby.
It's a derby, well, yeah.
It's a derby, and it's like two teams that will be right at the top of the table. Many people think will be 1 and 2, either order.
That's what everyone's been saying as well. It's not just you. It's been a few of those are saying the same thing. Because I think other than Sunderland and Burnham, I know Burnham part of it. I think Leeds and Sheffield United is probably the two strongest teams at this moment.
I agree with that completely. To be honest, they are probably the strongest teams in the Championship. But the fact that Wilder kind of changed it up and then it didn't work, did it? They just didn't have too much attacking quality.
They didn't have a short target at all. So
yeah, it's just bizarre because Leeds are not flawless. Like you can get at Leeds. Like no disrespect, you can.
No,
You will get chances, especially considering the midfield problems that you've had. No Ampadu, no Gruev.
I know. And do you know what? We were supposed to get Kanate, who was on a free agent from who used to play at Forest, but he's injured. He failed his medical, so there's been talks of bringing Francis Coquelin in or Daniel Aramati, the former Leicester player. So there's still debates about that one. Who is going to come in the free agent before the free transfer window closes? So yeah,
Yeah, just bitterly disappointing from, I'm sure, Sheffield United perspective because they have quality. They have a hell of a lot of quality in that team to kind of concede a little bit and not really. Didn't feel like it was kind of merging with that formation they played that
no,
system.
but it didn't feel like a proper derby at all. That was the disappointing. Actually, it didn't feel like a proper derby as I expected.
Yeah, yeah. One player I thought was quite good was Vinny Souza. I thought he ran the game, and whenever Sheffield United did have the ball, and anytime they did look quite threatening,
Yeah,
was mainly through Vinny Souza. So he looks like a Premier League quality player, doesn't he? So
it does. It does. I
him
think.
and Hamer. Mm.
Yeah, I think they're the two best partnerships in the CD in the championship I've known from this season as well.
Add Ollie Arblasser to that, and you've got something really
Yeah,
serious, haven't you?
exactly. Yeah, but I have to give credit to Ayo Tanaka, who actually is he's a good look at. He's a few £1 million well spent quite well, and he was a player of the match. And to quite honest with you, do you know what? And even Joe Raphael, he's had to deal with the situation with the midfield situation. He has become a lot more better defensively as well because he's attacking midfielders. So gotta give him credit for him being solid with Tanaka. And I think they two players are going to be key this season. I think Tanaka. I think we'll see a bit more. I think he's a bit more quality than Glenn Kamara was because maybe in terms of his presence, that's what we needed. So
Yeah. It would be impressive for any. I'm gonna reiterate this: any championship midfield to get the better of that Sheffield United midfield.
yeah,
I mean that for anyone, like from the top to the bottom. So the fact that Leeds have done it with a kind of hamstrung midfield with Rothwell and Tanaka, there's still quality in that, hell of a lot of quality in that, but still, my point stands in terms of this. It's still hamstrung. It's still probably not the first choice that Daniel Farker wants. So yeah, so incredibly impressive for Leeds and a massive victory for them, which sends them just going to slots them right in there in near the top of the table.
absolutely. Evening to you, Chris. Hope you're well, and hope you got your breath back after yesterday at St Mary's where you were 2-0 down. Bloody hell. Yeah, how's the best team in championship this season? Do you know what? Listen, I think the first 10 games compared to last season, we were just in the tops, just in the, what is it, not even close to the points that you guys did last season. But maybe now, after the start we've had, we're a little bit more better where we are compared to last season after 10 games because we will still like fifth or sixth place and still like 6 points behind, most like that. But yeah, I think we're feeling a little bit more better. I think Sheffield United, especially the unbeaten run, come ended against us in that style. So, yeah, I'm not surprised your heart went right off the scale completely. Especially you doing the live watch on yesterday. I would not feel so. Especially you are now retired as well. I thought you would have thought things you would have cooled that calmed down, but turns out I'm wrong with that one because I've joined the retirement club as you, and I have my heart rate a lot more calmer than yours, mate. So I can't argue with that one. But yeah, listen, I think Leeds look a little bit. I think we'll see how it go on Tuesday night against Watford because now we are going to be getting close. Now we are in a battle with the teams around us now compared to where we were last season. We got into the battle late just before Christmas, so at least we're still in the hunt at the moment. And like I said, we've lost at home, but we haven't beaten away at the moment. So I'll take that. I'll take that at the moment completely. I will take that right now. Right, let's finish off with your boys, Annie. And look, it's been a sad week for Liam Manning and his family. His son Theo suddenly died. He's taken definitely his young son. He's taken leave at the moment, and we know that your assistant manager, Chris Hogg, is now taken over. Just until when Manny comes back from Leeds absence. But it was an emotional win yesterday for you guys at Middlesbrough, winning 2-0. Both Ameti and Hiragaka scoring goals in the late of the game. How important was this win for yourself, for your fans, and for the club?
Yeah, as you mentioned, it was. It never felt like. It never felt like. From watching it, didn't really feel like a game that was never going to be normal, considering the circumstances. But it felt like a game that meant more, in a lot of ways, for the players and for the squad, and that's really nice to see, because it shows that the squad's completely united, completely kind of together as one. And yeah, some of the it's just so incredibly humbling to see a group of players completely playing for one guy and his family. So yeah, my sincerest condolences to Liam Manning and to Fran and to their son Isaac on their sad passing. And Chris Hogg mentioned this in his post match interview. Hope that victory brought a little smile to their faces. I'm sure Manning would have been keeping a close eye on the game anyway. But yeah, on the game, it was just perfect from a City's perspective in terms of an away game. Like, defended really well for a lot of it. Didn't allow Middlesbrough too many chances, apart from
No,
Latte Lath, who had a shot which was just wide in the first half, and then Ben Doak had a chance at 2-0, which was narrowly wide. Finazaz had an opportunity. After that, two pretty impressive goals from Hirakawa. The first one, both of them, we catch Middlesbrough playing out from the back, and that's completely tactical. The preparation put in. I'm sure Liam Manning would have done some of it, and obviously Chris Hogg taking over as well, doing a lot of the preparation ahead of this game. So yeah, to catch them out playing, and yeah, as I mentioned, Middlesbrough, they're a passing team, they're a possession heavy team. To catch them doing that when they make mistakes, because they're not perfect, Middlesbrough.
no.
So to do that and then score two goals from it, outstanding. The first one from Mameti, we catch them literally on the edge of their own box, and Mameti kind of shifts onto his right foot and then hits it beautifully past Sani Dieng, who maybe could have done a little bit better. And the second one, we robbed them on the halfway line with Knight. Knight just keeps running. He goes right and then goes in and then kind of bobbles its way to Hirakawa, who that finish is brilliant, considering that's his weaker foot as
It
well.
is. I know. I did because I looked at it thinking the way he shot at it. I thought, no, that's not his. That is not his strong foot. Yeah,
Yeah, but wonderful finish from Hirakawa, and he looks like a really good player. Look, he's going under the radar. He's only on loan here at Bristol City, and maybe if he's because the Japanese league is a little bit different. I think their season ends in January or something.
it does. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So and his contract expiring, so maybe some sort of deal could be. Well, I think there is already a deal in place. So if his form continues, maybe he becomes a permanent player in the not so distant future, because he looks like a really promising player and he's already a fan favorite. Um, the full time scenes I also want to touch on a little bit, because
Yeah,
Chris Hogg did something which just nearly reduced me to tears. Like, it was so emotional after full time. He
I've got it right here, just right here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that banner was held up in the away section, actually, uh, and then the players obviously took it and then they displayed it, and it was just good seeing pretty much the whole squad there, kind of in support of Theo. But then normally after a game, the manager goes over, if we win, gives it the fist bumps, going three fist bumps and everything. Manny normally does that, and the away fans actually tried to get Chris Hogg to do it, but then Chris Hogg kind of refused and kind of said it's not appropriate, and kind of just went no and pointed at the group of players and kind of signal to them and kind of going, they're the reason we've won this game, not me.
yeah.
That it just. it just got me in the feels that a little bit, and it was just
It
like
gives you the chills, doesn't it?
it's
Yeah.
like Christ, this bloke is honestly a gem, and how lucky how lucky are Bristol City to have him as an assistant manager. He handles himself with such decorum. It would have been so easy for him just to kind of shy away from any kind of media duties during the week, and post match and pre match here as well. But he didn't. He handled himself with so much dignity, so much class, and you can see he's so clearly affected by this news as well. He mentioned in his kind of media that
Yeah.
he treats kind of Liam's family as his own family in a lot of ways. A
He
lot,
did say that, and that was really touching. It really was touching because
yeah.
I'm like that with most of the people that I've known. Yeah.
So the fact that he's kind of not really spent a hell of a lot of time with them, I'm assuming, and he's got on with his own work, is incredible and so kind of just unreal from Chris Hogg. And shows his loyalties and his commitment to both Bristol City and to Liam Manning as well, and kind of picking up and not really leaving the squad on its own, because the squad are obviously massively affected by this as well. Alice Mehmeti in his post-match interview, kind of nearly so emotional. You could see so emotional over the news as well. So yeah, just the perfect way to kind of dedicate what was a really unbelievable performance. Because if this was normal circumstances, I'd be going great win, good defensively, but we showed so much more. We looked up for it. We showed so much determination, so much character, so much spirit within this team. That's something I can't criticize, and so much togetherness, and it's just fantastic to finally have a group of players who look like they're together and moving in the right direction as well. So yeah, just an unbelievable day yesterday. To dedicate to the Manning family, because I'm sure still I'm incredibly upset over the news. But yeah, from a British perspective, a fair wind, and yeah, it was just a dedication to Theo and anyone that's affected by the news.
Absolutely. Before we finish off, give you a few words on Middlesbrough's point of view because do you think this team's a bit overrated under Michael Carrick at the moment? Because the team he's trying to build around is just not being good enough with 4 losses, and yes, they've had 4 wins, but it's not the start that they wanted to have.
There are a few points on Borough, aren't there? Because they're creating chances, right?
Yeah,
They're definitely up there in terms of underlying data, in terms of touching the opposition box, XG. They're not putting chances away. Lath doesn't look like he's up to it at the moment.
no, he's not the player that I've from last season. That how he started quite well, and it's a bit of questions about as he come back, not in the best physical fitness, especially with his chances at the moment.
There are a lot of Borough fans calling for Lath to be dropped.
I'm not surprised.
The only problem is they've got options. Tommy Conway, from my experience as a Bristol City fan, right?
Yeah,
He's not the most clinical striker, let's put it that way. And Marcus Force has been, kind of injury tormented
yeah,
in his career at Borough so far as well. So they've got good players. Ben Doak looks really good yesterday against McCrory at left back.
yeah,
McCrory, who's not naturally left back, mind, so can be got at a little bit. But yeah, Ben Doak at left back. Ben Doak on the right looks really good. McGree, who's normally, the starting left winger instead of Micah Hamilton, who started yesterday, he wasn't playing because he played in Australia in the midweek, so that flight commute is massive, obviously. So he wasn't fully up to it. But yeah, it feels like Middlesbrough waiting for something to happen. It's almost as if they're waiting for some of their chances to go in one game. Maybe they'll score like 4 or 5 in one game, and then it'll start to click.
yeah,
Then they'll start to put chances away because they're creating chances. Then it's not like they're having a lot of the ball, not creating anything, and they're losing 2-0 at home
mm,
and getting done on 2 counter-attacks. Middlesbrough could easily have taken the lead yesterday within 10 minutes, and this game would have been completely different. Middlesbrough probably go on to win that game.
yeah,
But the problem is, they get caught on too many occasions. It's individual mistakes. Again, at Watford before the international break, they actually played quite well. They actually did play, relatively well. They've completely collapsed the last 20 minutes or so and lost that game 2-1. So it's not like Borough are playing terribly and and that kind of the Michael Carrick style of football is not working. It is to a degree. They're lacking cutting edge. They're lacking
Yeah,
cutting edge, and that is the main problem. And whether that's a change of striker, a complete change of kind of front line, or whatever it is, something's got to happen because they can't keep persisting with this unless that actually works. But I don't see that working anytime soon. So I think Middlesbrough have got all the right foundations to start working. Carrick's been in there a while. The football is quite good. It's just about whether the forwards actually start taking their chances, because once that happens, Middlesbrough will start flying up the league because they'll start scoring a hell of a lot of goals and start winning a lot of games as well.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Chris, I hope so. We avoid the playoffs. It depends how as a Leeds fan will do, because I will show the table up shortly before I finish off. But yeah, I think that's the question is now we have to make sure we just keep ourselves, to avoid that, that situation. Unlike last season, where there was it was good quality, but I think we might have this more chance in the bag compared to the other teams as well. So we will see. We will see. Annie, thank you very much as usual. Let me just go with to show the table in the EFL Championship. So Sunderland and Burnley and Leeds and along with Blackburn were the only four teams to win over the weekend. Sunderland are back up just up with 2 points, 3 points ahead of Leeds and Sheffield United. Bristol City have just 11 points with Middlesbrough and not too far from the playoff. And Derby County, getting their first draw, which then they're putting to 12th. And in the bottom half of the table, Portsmouth moved up the top, moved off from the bottom, despite they're still in relegation, despite winning yesterday. QPR now go to the bottom, but there is tougher. Coventry just outside the relegation due to the goal difference as well. Annie, thank you very much again for taking your time out. I know Michael was busy as well. Tell everyone where everyone is, and I will put your details on the description as well.
Yeah, you can find me, Annie Harris, on YouTube with Bristol City Jabber nonsense. I'll be there for our face off against Leeds on next weekend, which I'm sure we'll talk about next Sunday.
God, I don't forget about that game next weekend. Yeah, this is gonna
midweek, this midweek, and then obviously Leeds at home. So I'll be there hopefully, and you can catch a match day vlog. Hopefully it goes better than last year. But yeah, just general match day vlogs whenever I can. At home in particular, I go to most home games and catch match previews and match reviews and stuff like that. General City nonsense and news as well. So you can catch me, Annie Harris, on YouTube and Twitter for a general good laugh and bad jokes.
Absolutely deep. But hopefully we'll see you next week, next Sunday, depending on the outcome of the results. I will have to be on because I have to do my duties, right? So as long as we get Michael back, and listen, we need to get the sociable person that we've been trying to get on for weeks, and he's supposed to come on tonight, and Mr. Ant himself, but he's like he had no life, like an average gamer. Now he has a life now.
The Premier League riches has got to him. Honestly,
I'm not surprised as well. I'm not surprised with that as well. Annie, thank you very much as usual. Appreciate your time, man, and I'll speak to you next week as usual. Even though it's going to be pretty intense about how we do. So, yeah,
cool. Cheers, Carl.
You're welcome. And for anyone during the course of the week as well, I will be doing the rest of the roundup later on between Tuesday and Wednesday. But as I said, I'll be back on next Saturday to do the Saturday show at 11 as well. And also to do the Sunday preview back here at 8 o'clock next Sunday as well. Please like and hit and share and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell for any upcoming uploading new videos that we put up, or any shorts or any posts that we put up over the course of the season as well. I just had a good time having some nice glass of some Jamaican rum and some Coke, which I'm surprised. I have to tell you this. I had the Jamaican rum when I went to see my family in Jamaica back in 2019, and I'm surprised that bottle that was never finished until today, because I've done quite well to maintain it, to make sure I had enough for certain moments, and I appreciate it as well. But like I said, everyone have a good week, stay safe due to the weather as well, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Take care for now. Bye bye.